Now he gets into the actual this yoga. The third chapter is called Yoga of Action. Actually, Swami Vivekananda has written. I must recommend this book. There are 9 volumes of complete works of Swami Vivekananda, and in this first volume itself, there is a chapter on secret of action. See, all of us, we are called householders, grahastha we call. We are all performing, we are all doing so many activities in a day, right from the time we get up till the night. We are doing multitasking, and whether it is professional or personal, or just a personal means family, not only for the family but your own personal activities, so many are there. So karma yoga basically gives a direction to spiritualize these activities. Whatever work we are doing, we just have to change our approach or the attitude towards that work, and that leads to liberation. Wonderful, isn't it? So basically you need not go and sit in the I should say in the Himalayas, or go on the bank of a river and sit and meditate for hours together. That is what Arjuna is going to ask. Again he is coming to that point. So it's not that, but whatever action you are doing, whatever you have as responsibilities you have been assigned, that you must do with a yogic mindset. Yogic mindset of a yogi. Yogi means karma yogi. We are all karma yogis. We are all practicing that. How effectively we can do that, that is described in this chapter. So the first shloka says, Arjuna asks now. In spite of asking all that, in the end, Krishna in the second chapter, he says that buddhi yoga, use your buddhi, sankhya, all that he says. So now Arjuna, he has already asked such a question in the second chapter also, but again he says, Arjuna uvacha jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat किं कर्मणि घोरे मां नियोजयसि केशव व्यामिश्रेणेव वाक्येन बुद्धिं मोहयसीव मे तदेकं वद निश्चित्य येन श्रेयोऽहमाप्नुयाम्. So in these two shlokas, Arjuna is asking Krishna, according to you, knowledge is superior to action. Buddhi yoga, you said, no? Buddhi, sankhya, everything. So jayasi chet karmanah te mata buddhir janardana. You said buddhi is above, knowledge is superior to action. Why? Tat kim karmani ghore mam. Why, Keshava, niyojayasi Keshava, do you engage me in this terrible action? What is the action Arjuna is going to perform now? He is going to fight. So he is saying, you told me that knowledge is superior. You must be jnani. And jnanaha, that is sreshtha. He says that it's superior. It's excellent. You must understand all the description he has given in the second chapter. So when that is so good, why can't I just sit and contemplate like a jnana yogi and then understand so many things? Why are you making me perform this terrible action? So he introduced karmani ghore, karmani, karma, he introduces again. And second shloka he says, you are using very conflicting words, vyamishrena vakyena. Sometimes you talk this way, sometimes you talk that way. It is conflicting, contradicting to each other, and that is bewildering my understanding. Buddhi mohaya sivame. It's kind of, I am getting confused. Therefore tadekam vada nischitya yena shreyohu mapnuyam. Therefore Krishna, don't confuse me. Tell me that one thing by which I can attain the highest. So Arjuna is very clear of two things. He has understood that he should attain the highest. That is known. But now again, buddhi or jnana yoga or karma yoga. Should I practice karma, action? And if I have to do, I have to go and fight now. Gore, it means it is so terrible, which I am not able to manage, and still you are asking me to perform this action. At the same time, you are telling me, it goes in second chapter, but what Arjuna is basically trying to convince Krishna, is you yourself told me about jnana, and why are you putting me into this karma? Let me go and meditate and attain that knowledge by my own efforts. That is what Arjuna, that means he is thinking that by withdrawing from his action, what he is supposed to do. If you remember, in our previous chapter we discussed what is swadharma, and Krishna very well says that you have to perform swadharma, what you are supposed to do. First perform that. You have to. If you do not do your swadharma, then you are going to attain sin. So he has told that also, and he has told about knowledge also. So he is now confused about what action he has to take. So he is now thinking, Arjuna is thinking, what if I can just withdraw myself from this action and try to engage myself in the path of knowledge, jnana. Let me contemplate, sit and meditate and understand. Let me not do this action. So the chapter here, Karma Yoga, not only talks about how you have to do your work, but it also talks about action and inaction. Action and inaction, because there have been lot of commentaries written which talks about nivritti marga. Nivritti means withdrawal, correct. Also nivritti and jnana marga. That means many commentaries are written which talks about just withdrawing yourself from the day-to-day activities and then sit and meditate. That is a true path for liberation. There is no need to get into this worldly action. But you know what, I am referring to this book. This is by Swami Jagadatmananda from Ramakrishna Mission, and he talks about Swami Vivekananda. So Swami Vivekananda has given a very good description about, I told you, secret of work. So there he says, see, practically speaking, for the development of the family or the society or for the nation, you cannot take this path of inaction, sit and do meditation. Who has to bring up the country? Who has to take care of the poor? Who has to improve the society if you perform this inaction? But then the supporters of that say, the purpose of human life is to attain liberation. That liberation can be obtained only when you actually sit and meditate. Come on, understand this. But then Swami Vivekananda has explained, and the gist of Gita, I think he is one of the persons who has emphasized so much on karma marga, because to bring up your people to grow for you yourself, use this path, that karma marga, which will lead to liberation. Who told you that only sitting under the tree or in Himalayas and contemplating and understanding who am I, is that the only way? No, that is not the way. And right now that is not, rather you better don't do it, because you people sit and do that, and there are so many poor people there suffering. We need to relieve them of their suffering. There are so many old people, there are so many diseased people. So the path of service is an excellent way to get liberation. This is what Swami Vivekananda spoke even in the Parliament of Religions, and there are so many books. As I told you, there are 9 volumes. Please read that. And this is basically the difference between action and inaction. Arjuna is referring to inaction. I do not want to act or work, rather I will sit and contemplate. But that is not the way. So next Krishna says, Shri Bhagavanuvacha Lokesmin Dvividha Nishtha Pura Prokta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam Na Karmanam Anarambhat Naishkarmyam Purushoshnute Na Cha Sanyasana Deva Siddhim Samadhikachati. So Krishna says, Arjuna, in the very beginning of this creation, who has created? Parabrahma. Krishna is Avatara, but he is supposed to be the Purna Avatara. This in Bhagavata it says, among so many avatars, Parabrahma, that is the creator. How did the creation start? Nothing was there. We have discussed this. There was absolutely nothing but full potential. Parabrahma was all alone, Nirakara. no form, just as an entity. So then he thinks of creation. So when he created and when he started with the Yoga Maya, it is called, and then he creates those 5 elements, Karmendriya, Jnanendriya, all this matter. So when he does that, he says, two-fold paths are Lokesmin Dvividhanishta Pura Prokta Mayanaga. I have given two paths. One is Sankhya, path of knowledge for the Sankhya, path of work for the yogis. So both are yogis only, actually, Jnana yogis and Karma yogis. But there are some people who just cannot do. It's fine. He doesn't condemn the path of knowledge. But what he says is that both of these are good, definitely. So the buddhi devoted to Sankhya philosophy, understanding how I was born, how I was created, all this no doubt belongs to Sankhya philosophy. That is nothing but inaction and inward meditation. Keep meditating without performing action. But he says the path of yoga based on karma, the path of karma will take you to moksha. Both that also takes you to moksha. This also takes you to moksha. But then he will be saying later, karma yoga vishishyate. Among the two, if you take, I would put karma yoga at the higher altar, he says. Krishna has told. Therefore, he is trying to say these are the two paths which I myself have given. If a person feels like meditating, but there should be nothing in between. And he also tells about the drawbacks of this jnana marga that we shall see. So what he is trying to tell is, just a moment, I will put the battery charge. So he says that I have created these, I only have created these two paths, no, nothing to worry about. But he says, later he has told, now he just says, I have put these two, and then he keeps on, he goes to explain that. Jnana yogena sankhyana, those who are good at, there are some tendencies, some people are good at contemplating, for them it's meditation, for others, for other yogis, it is karma marga. But later he has told, among these two, karma is greater, but it also means that both of these paths lead to moksha. Then in the next shloka he says, na karmana anarambhat naishkarmyam purushoshnute. So well, it is jnana marga, people who want to meditate, who want to sit and contemplate, that's fine. But these people will meditate and they are not performing action, they go door to door for asking for some food, that bhiksham dehi, that is the way they do it. But just, he also says, now understand that just by not performing action, you cannot call it as a jnana yoga. By giving up, na karmanam anarambhat, means by non-performance of action, arambha is to start any action, we don't reach, it's not called as yoga or inaction. Actually inaction is yoga. Inaction means just surrendering before God and not owning the not doing it responsibly, but giving the results to God. So that also is called as inaction, naishkarmya, we discussed about that. But just by not performing action, please understand this, it's a very subtle thing to be understood. So he is explaining to him, you sit meditating and you don't do any action. By just not doing any action is not yoga. It's not going to result in naishkarmya. And also by merely giving up action, means I just don't want to do anything. One is not performing an action. The other one is you just stop. You have started something, you give up that action. You are doing something, you give up. The other one is not initiating any action. In both these states, both of these they are not called as inaction. Inaction means they are not called as yoga. They are not, let's take it like that. They are not called as yoga. Na karmanam anarambhat naishkarmya. Naishkarmya is a yogic term. Naishkarmya means just being still and assuming that God has performed, even if you perform action, and not assuming, understanding, and understanding that the entire world, so much of activity is taking place, but it is not I, but it is the Chaitanya Shakti, that super consciousness which is working. That state is called Naishkarmya, or it is called as inaction. It doesn't say we are not acting, please understand that. So, or we'll call this Naishkarmya as yoga. So, Krishna is saying, just by not initiating any action or giving up an action, that does not amount to yoga. Okay. Why he says in the next 5th and 6th shlokas, nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krut karyate yavashah karma sarva prakriti jair gunaihi कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य य आस्ते मनसा स्मरन् इन्द्रियार्थान् विमूढात्मा मिथ्याचारः स उच्यते. So he says, in the previous shloka he says, by not doing any action or not performing or giving up, it doesn't amount to any kind of yoga. Because yoga, even if you do not want and you want to do jnana yoga, it is something different, it is much more, and there are ahead of these chapters he is going to describe that. But at the moment he is insisting that all the action, not even one, nahi kashchit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrut. The human body is designed in such a way that you will not be resting even for a moment, kshanamapi, without performing an action, because all are made to act hyavashaha karmaha. He says they are rather compelled to do some action because of 3 gunas. What are those 3 gunas? We have discussed sattva, rajas, tamas. These are the prakriti jair gunahi, born of 3 gunas, or the forces born of prakriti. So the human being is performing his action as though he is compelled, without our knowledge. No, we are compelled to do some actions which is determined or which is directed by our tendencies. What are these tendencies? These are accumulated over several births, and from the birth, based on our environment, how we have chosen the things, based on all that we choose our actions. So whether this action, good action, bad action, moderate action, all that is different. But at this point of time he is making it very clear that since you have these 3 gunas and there is a prakriti, so prakriti is the nature, the force that will compel you to do one or the other action, because if not anything, we have to perform our own action, isn't it? We have to eat, we have to use the restrooms, we have to take bath, all these are there. These are, what are these? These are actions only. So he says you can never stay even for a single moment without performing any action. If I go in a subtle way, even the thoughts are considered as actions only. So can any of us sit without thinking even for a moment, unless you have reached that samadhi sthiti? As you are going into the path, let's say we choose this jnana marga, we don't want to do any action, I will just sit and meditate. How comfortable we are, or how much we can concentrate. The thoughts will keep happening, the thoughts will keep appearing. So not even 1 second you can sit without performing any action. Now he says karmendriyani sanyamya. What are sanyamya? Ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma vithyacharasa uchyate. One who restraining the organs of. Yes, Peter, anything you want to say? Okay, so karmendriyani sanyamya. Karmendriyas means we have jnanendriya, karmendriya. Karmendriyas are indriyas of action, organs of action, the legs, the hands, then the genital organs, all these are called karmendriya. That means, so I see something and the ears hear something, and then it will prompt you to go and perform that action. Supposing I see something which is very dangerous, I see a snake there, immediately we run, isn't it? So the eyes are jnanendriya and the legs move, they are called karmendriya. So some stimulus you get and you act. So the organs which are involved in these actions, no, they are called as karmendriya. Those indriyas or those organs which are involved in performing the karma, isn't it? Karmendriya. So he says just karmendriyani sanyamya. Just because you will not go anywhere, you will not use your hands and legs and your genital organs or whatever and sit in one place, and then that doesn't mean just by but you do that, and then in your mind you start thinking so many things, you start imagining things, so manasa smaran. So that amounts to hypocrisy. Indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyacharah sa uchyate. So in the mind he keeps thinking of, oh, I must go and watch a movie, I must go and attend something, I must go and enjoy, I must go and have, enjoy with my girlfriend, whatever. So in the mind he thinks like that, but he doesn't go. That amounts to hypocrisy. That means the fundamental aspect for a spiritual person is your thoughts, your words and your actions, they all should be same. ದೇ ಆಲ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಸೇಮ್. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವೋ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್, ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಟಾಕ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅವರ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಯೆಟ್ ಅನದರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಲೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಮಿಸರಿ. Think about it. Just think of most of the times, many times. Why do we do that? Sometimes we think, oh, I should be cautious with this person. I should not speak much. Or in the mind we feel, I just don't like this person. But then we are scared because of the position or the society or whatever. We come out with very soft words. Now what happened? There's a conflict, right? And then we try to do something good for her or something like her or him, whatever. So always there will be a conflict between what we think, what we speak and what we do. So that is called as mithyachara, hypocrisy. They say whatever you think, same thing should come in your words, the same thing should come in your action. That conformity to all this, no, that will make you feel very, very, very light. You start practicing this. It's not easy, because we are in so many situations where we wish to do something but we are unable to do. But what is that which is preventing us? Then that is because of our fear. And why that fear? If we are clear in our thoughts and our behavior, our actions, our principles, then ideally we should not be afraid of. So that should give us the courage. So when we start practicing, I hope I am clear. So when we start implementing this, no, thoughts, words, action, they all are in one direction, then that is said to be actually a yoga. That is very difficult, but that is what we are supposed to practice in karma yoga. So now exactly the same thing he is saying. I can quote one story which my mother used to tell. The mother-in-law and daughter in Indian system, I don't know about in the Western. So there was a family in the Indian old family. Old means I should say about 20 years, 30, 34, 35 years back. My mother told me this story when I was small. So the mother-in-law wants to visit Kashi. Kashi, Banaras, now it's called Banaras. Kashi is a very, very holy place. So the daughter-in-law also wants to go, mother-in-law also wants to go. Those days, as the people grew older, then they would say, without visiting Kashi, Rameshwar and Kashi, our life is worthless. Before we die, we should go. And they used to go walking. There was no transport system. So the mother-in-law goes to Kashi and she tells her daughter-in-law, take care of the family. Indian system used to be joint families. Even today we have many families are joint families. So the mother-in-law but the daughter-in-law also wants to go, but one is she is very young and the other one is very scared, because there is a hierarchy in Indian families. The mother-in-law is always the boss. So the mother-in-law says, you stay back and take care of the family, and I will go and visit Kashi. She goes with her friends. The daughter-in-law, every day whenever she takes bath, whenever she does puja, she always thinks, my mother-in-law must have gone to Kashi, she may be doing that abhishekam, she may be sitting here. So in her mind always she is thinking about Kashi Yatra, though she is here. The mother-in-law, on the contrary, when she goes there, she will be thinking, what will my daughter-in-law be doing now? She is afraid of her authority at home. Will she cook properly? Will she do so much of wastage? Which vegetable she would have cooked today? Has she given my son proper meals? Though she is in Kashi, her mind is entirely with her daughter-in-law and trying to criticize or think about her. So but the daughter-in-law is thinking about Kashi. Look at the irony here. How, I mean, this is how this speaks about the maturity or the wisdom of a person. So a person who has had an opportunity to go there, in the mind she is thinking exactly like this. You are there, but you are thinking of something else. But this lady, she's here, but she's thinking of that. Probably this girl will be more, she gets more divine grace, obviously. So that way, there are so many. I told you another story also. So just by wearing an orange robe, dressing up like a Rishi, dressing up like a sadhu, does not amount to the state of a jnani or a yogi. In the mind, you should be pure. It is not enough if you just don't perform any action, come and ask for bhiksha and then pretend that you are pretending. So such a state is called hypocrisy, mithyachara. Mithya is false, you are showing something. Achara is the behavior. So mithya vimudhatma, indriyarthan vimudhatma, mithyachara sa uchyate. So they are deluded. They are deluded in understanding. Vimudhatma means they don't know they are really not the people of any standard or their without any understanding. That's what Krishna says. So he says, do not do this, do not do, and this applies to all. Any action we take, it need not be only for this kind of jnana. As I said, we must practice what we preach, isn't it? We must practice what we preach, what we think. So that should be shown in our action also. Otherwise, it is called as a hypocrisy. Definitely it's hypocrisy. At least if it is opposite. Many times, no, ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋದೊಂದು ಹೇಳೋದೊಂದು. They say, no, you think something, you talk something. You are not what you really are. So people can make out. Initially, they will believe you, but over a period of time, that will be communicated in one way or the other. So let us make our behavior in such a way that we are transparent across what we think, what we speak, how we act. Everything should be in conformity to each other. So that is what. Then he says, Yastvindriyani manasa niyamyarabhaterjuna karmendriyaihi karmayogam asakta savishishyate. On the contrary, Arjuna, if a person controls his senses, as I told just now, controls his sense organs, senses means without getting distracted, without having any fear, without indulging in only satisfying his own desires. That is indriyani niyamya. So one who controls the senses by the mind and remains unattached, directs the karmendriyas, organs of action, to the yoga of action, excels. Now he try to understand this. Now he is telling that rather than that, closing your eyes and thinking of something, pretending to be in meditative mode, that doesn't work. But on the other hand, if there is a person who can control his sense organs, means without having too many expectations, without being self-centered, without trying to satisfy his needs, he goes out and he uses his karmendriya. That means he walks, he uses his hands, he performs his responsibilities, given responsibilities, with a controlled mind. Controlled mind means entirely focused on what he is expected to do. Then such a person excels. Okay, so vishishyate karma yogam yogamasaktaha saha vishishyate. Such a person who is involved in such a karma yoga, he excels. So in other words, he is saying that jnana marga is likely to lead you to such kind of happenings where you may not be able to control your mind, and then you will be called hypocrite. Rather than that, try to act whatever is expected to do now, with controlled sense of mind and with a selflessness. That understood, it's understood. Indriya nigraha, indriya sanyamya, control of mind means control from all, restrain from all the distractions, particularly which will try to distract you and which will falsely tell you that it will fulfill your selfish desires. So don't yield to them, but focus on your goal. So this kind of karma yoga, this yoga is supposed to be special above. Then he says, Niyatam kuru karma tvam कर्मज्यायो ह्यकर्मणः शरीरयात्रापि च ते न प्रसिद्धेत अकर्मणः. Now he says, so now in all these shlokas he has answered Arjuna's question, which is a greater path, Jnana Marga or Karma Marga? You are confusing me. Should I take this path or that path? Then Krishna says, I have given both, the Jnana Marga as well as the Bhakti Marga. But be careful, there is a risk of falling in Jnana Marga because control of your mind is not that easy. Sitting for so many hours, you can also understand it is less, it's not so practical for any of us to sit controlling our mind for several hours and contemplating on the divinity. Rather, we go into action, we perform something, and we restrain our desires, other desires, whichever is coming on the way, and involve ourselves in the work. This is more practical. That is what he is trying to say. Now he says how to perform. So he has established the fact that karma yoga vishishya, because it's practical and less chances, there is lesser risk of falling down. So this suits everyone. So Arjuna, follow this. So then he says, Niyatam kuru karmato. Niyatam means what is mandatory. Do perform your obligatory action. Obligatory means responsibilities. What are our responsibilities? Again, if we recollect our swadharma, whatever we are into, whatever profession we have chosen, whatever roles we have accepted. Now I am a wife, I am mother, I am grandmother, I am a doctor, I am a academician, I am a researcher. So these are all my, and I am a citizen of this country. I am a not important, I am a part of this society. These are all my roles, and accordingly I have to perform my responsibility. I must understand what is my responsibility as a mother, as a daughter, and I was a daughter-in-law, and I am also a mother-in-law. So so many roles we are playing, isn't it? So we have to understand for every role what is a minimum obligatory action that we are supposed to follow towards the institution, towards the society, towards the family. All these are obligatory action. And these people, the Ramakrishna Mission saints, they roar like a lion with respect to our responsibility towards the nation, society and nation. They say we should never be restricted to our family alone. Each one of us have a responsibility towards our society, towards our neighbors, towards maintaining the harmony in the society, in the nation. So this being the case, he says, Niyatam, whatever is your obligatory action, Arjuna, perform, because karma jyayo hi akarmanaha. Akarmana means inaction. Again he says, not doing an action, that is not going to take anywhere. You must be working, you must be active, you must be in action, whatever. Because if you see now, there is no time. We have to perform all these actions. No, where is the time? There is no time. Don't be lazy, in other words. That's what he is trying to tell us also. So because he says, even the bare maintenance of the body will not be possible if you are inactive. Sharira yatra pichate na prasiddhet akarma. So you cannot na prasiddhet akarmanaha. You cannot be inactive, because at least for your body, as I told you earlier, taking bath, washing your own clothes, right, cooking your own food, or going for a bhiksha, whatever it is, you need to perform some action. But so therefore you cannot be, again in continuation with the previous shlokas, you cannot sit lazing around. Do some activity, understand what you are supposed to do. If you think like this, if everybody follows this principle, before going into deep karma yoga, he says that first step is to perform whatever you are expected to perform. So one Swamiji in Ramakrishna Ashram had told me, see, everywhere in the world, if everyone performs his allotted duties, his allotted responsibilities, then the world will be a heaven to stay. Unfortunately, they don't do it. Particularly it was in reference to developing countries like ours, where very few people, I had discussed this earlier also, even in institutions, 20% of the Padmini has joined, 20% of the people perform 80% of the action in any, you take anywhere, this is not mine, this is management statement. 20% of the people are very committed, and they are the ones who account for 80% of the actions, required responsibilities in an institution or even in a family. Then remaining 80% do the 20% of action. So this is the truth. So performers, they don't bother whether they are doing or not doing, they keep doing, and it is because of such people the society is thriving, the world is thriving. So but however, if everybody does, then it gets distributed and the world will be still better, the countries can still flourish. But as per Krishna, all are not the same. We have Rajasic people, we have Sattvic people, we have Tamasika people, and we have discussed in length. Sattvic are the ones, it stands highest in the hierarchy. Sattvic people are those who are usually selfless, who want to work more, and they are towards divine consciousness. Rajasic people are ambitious, they are also active, they are also working, but there is an element of greed and selfishness. Tamasic people are ignorant people, they don't know what they are supposed to do. They also do not let others tell them, and they have a resistance to change. They do not accept. You would have seen such people also. So the world is a mixture of all these kinds of people, and that is based on the evolution, and this is the Maya, Yoga Maya only. And anybody can grow actually. Tamasika can become Rajasika, Rajasika can become Sattvika. So they can go beyond that. Beyond Sattvika is the divinity. So but then that depends on the choice they make, and their tendencies, their free will, the ability to change, ability to put an full effort. So people who keep doing their homeworks, they keep evolving. Whenever they see any signal coming from anywhere outside, either from the friends or from learned people or anywhere, and they feel, yes, I think I should change myself, it's for my better, then they grow. Otherwise it's going to be like this only. So niyatam kuru karmatvam, inaction should never be followed. No inaction, you must always be active, never laze around, never, even if we retire, we should not laze around, we should be always active, of course depending on our how much we can do, actually based on your age or whatever. So but you should never ever laze. Nothing is coming free in this world. Even if you have earned throughout your life and you are living on your pension, that is because you have worked, and still we should not sit idling. We should keep doing some or the other activity. So having said that, then he says, very beautiful shloka, yajñarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So he says, the world karma bandh, lokoyam karma bandhanaha, the world is bound by actions other than those performed for the sake of yajna. What does it say? Now initially he said, keep doing the work, do your responsibilities. Now how to do this work? One of the ways is perform it like a yajna. What is a yajna? Yajna is an offering, and traditionally yajna means offering to some deva devatas. Okay, so so many types of yajnas are there. We have discussed that, no, in order to get kingdom or to get children. So different types of yajnas are prescribed in the Vedas. So in any case, yajna means a sacrifice, it is said. So what do we sacrifice? Whatever we have, it's offering to the Lord whatever we have with us, all the possessions. And in the yajna we burn, there's a agni, there's a fire, Agni Kunda, and there we put Purnahuti. Purnahuti means we offer the food items. What is the indication of that? We are offering whatever we have to you. Please give us our desires. May our desires be fulfilled, and they will get fulfilled. But basic concept of a yajna is a sacrifice or a tyaga or offer. So offer means give it. So here he is saying, make this action, your activities as a yajna. So beautifully he is saying, you will not be able to call the priests and all those and perform, get the materials and invoke the Lord. No, you are doing your day-to-day activities must be considered as yajna. So Krishna considers our action, even our Bhagavad Gita discussion, telling and listening is one yajna. This act itself is yajna. Because it becomes yajna when we offer. Consider it as yajna means we must perform and offer. The offering is much more important, but before that, performing to the fullest ability is also important. Because these rajas in Vedas, they give certain conditions how to perform yajna, what is the best time, whom you should call, what mantras to be chanted. Similarly, an activity also has some standard operating procedures, isn't it? How to conduct a class, how you have to prepare for your lecture, and how many days of preparation, what references you have to do. So these are all the prerequisites, just like what is prescribed for the conventional yajna. How beautiful, isn't it? So consider every activity. Now see how he is changing our attitude towards whatever action we are doing. It is not at all a big thing. The same clinical practice, the same lectures, the same cooking, everything, if we just make it appear or not pretend, if you conceptualize and if you start feeling that Krishna, this is for you, this yajna is for you, and having said that, put 100% in that preparation, and when we complete the act, we offer to him. What better yajna you want to do? So in Kali Yuga, this is the best thing ever which has been given to us, this Bhagavad Gita, because we are in no position to perform those yajnas, and we are, because if that was there, I would say, we would rather keep doing them and asking for those boons and this one without doing our responsibilities, isn't it? So action and work is extremely important, and the minute you convert that into yajna, that becomes a yoga. Beautiful. Tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangaha samachara. Therefore perform action for yajna alone. Tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangaha samachara, devoid of any attachment. Attachment to what? Already he has told previously. Attachment to the desires of action. Very beautiful, extremely beautiful. I really loved this because I always used to like those yajnas and seeing that fire coming and chanting of those mantras which have so much of impact. Now Krishna is saying it is as good as that. Come on. What else? How else he can make our life easier, you tell me? He is trying all kinds of, all ways to make it easy for us. It's only up to us to give up our ego and accept and so offer it to him as yajna. Beautiful. Karma should be taken as yajna, and do your responsibilities, allotted responsibilities as per your roles fully. Never give up. Never say I am not going to act, I am not going to work. One or the other thing, whichever you find is evolving, helping you to evolve, take that action, but do it completely and do your niyatam, whatever you are supposed to do. Mandatory, you must do. There is no escape for that. I don't like to do this job, I don't like to feed my child. Some mothers will be complaining when the baby is very small, I don't like to feed. What do you mean? You are a mother, you must have patience. You must know the ways and means to make the child understand, cajole him and then feed him. You cannot say I don't like, you feed. I have seen some mothers doing that. It cannot be done. I can't take care of my parents. I am old, I don't want to. No, never. You have to take care. Whether you are old or you are young, as per our tradition, everywhere, it's a universal requirement. When the parents become old and dependent, particularly in a country like India, when we do not have any security measures for them, it's a responsibility of the children, and that is a mandatory. Niyatam kuru karmatvam, that is mandatory. That is told in Manusmriti, that is told in the Vedas. You better do it, and that is your good job. you will get out, I mean, that's a good karma. You are going to get good benefits out of it. So everything is interlinked, right? Beautiful thing. And then he says previously also, control your sense organs, be focused, because you have to do your responsibilities. If we are responsible, then nothing can distract us. If we are responsible, then finishing that task itself is our goal. How well I do it. But one more step, he says, do it like a yajna. Those people, all of us are responsible people over here. So we are responsible, but go a little, one extra step, that is, do it like a yajna. Just offer it, and it is good also. Then what happens? We will be relaxed. Because as I told you, 20% do the 80% job. You will not bother for those 80%. Why the hell I alone should do this job? What about him? What about her? Why he should not do it? We'll stop bothering. This is my job. I am doing it. Of course, you should get them to do your job. You should have a team. Everything is okay. But sometimes you just cannot make others do it. Then what can you do? You should accomplish that task. So let's do it with responsibility. And since it's Krishna's work, maybe I can do it. Maybe he has chosen me. We say, do that job completely, the mandatory job, the allotted job, the work which I am supposed to do, with a feeling of yajna, offering. Just you can imagine quietly, and then play some nice music and keep doing your job without any attachment, So he says, now the last shloka for the day, Saha yajna praja sruštva पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रसविष्यद्विष्यध्वम् एषवोस्त्विष्टकामधुक्. He says the Prajapati, having in the beginning projected mankind, that means the Prajapati is Brahma, he created the human beings together with Yajna. So Yajna is being given lot of importance here. Yajna said that these are the yajnas for you. He creates the human beings and he creates these yajnas, and he says, perform these yajnas and you shall get all your, he says, kamadhuk, you can milch your milch. This shall be the milch cow of your desires. Kamadhenu, something like Kamadhenu. What is the milch cow? Means Kamadhenu means whatever you ask you will get. So what is that Kamadhenu? That is the yajna. And Krishna says your karma. So understand, Lord Brahma created this world, universe, and as he created the human beings, how will they survive? How will they understand? Because human beings have the uniqueness of buddhi, intellect, free will is there. So, but there is a tendency that they will utilize in a negative way, and they will suffer, and they always want their desires to be fulfilled also, because they have to work, they have to get children, they have to have dharma, artha, kama, everything they should have. So for that he said, do these yajnas. That is how it was created. So now Krishna says yajna is there, but what is a yajna for you, Arjuna? Do it as a karma. So consider karma as yajna, because yajna has been created. The concept of yajna is there since the time you have been created. The human being is created. So yajna is inseparable from the human life. So yajna has to be done. How it has to be done? This is how you can do it, so that will fulfill your desires, he says. How does it fulfill his desires? So ordinary yajna is a yajna for desires, but here also he says fulfill your desire means towards moksha. That is what we have to understand. This yajna, when it is performed as a karma yoga, that will get moksha for you. So having said that, Krishna has emphasized everything. Karma yoga, he says how you have to be, how you have to work, what attitude you should have, and what is the work you have to do, and how much of involvement, and during that time what is likely to distract us. I should emphasize this, I should repeat this again, that Indriya Sanyamya, he says, no, Indriya Sanyam is the person who controls his Indriyas, controls his mind. So what actually it means is, you would have taken up some activity and you would have started working, but nobody appreciates for that. You would have done, you would have cooked, nobody appreciates for that. You become very depressed. So there is a chance that we say from tomorrow I don't like to cook, because you have not, nobody is appreciating me, nobody is acknowledging me, they don't have any value for my work. There is every chance, because mind gets disappointed. It's very natural, but that should not happen, because our responsibility, our happiness is in performing the task. It is not in getting appreciation or getting insulted. No, it's not in that. The responsibility. Similar situation comes in profession also. We keep doing the work, and nobody recognizes, nobody appreciates. I don't get an award, I am not promoted. So all these things keep happening. But as long as you do your responsibility, that is a yajna. When it has to come, it will come. But without any, not performing any action is totally a sin. You should never do that. So inaction here also means that when you feel that the work is not being appreciated, I better not do, because there are people who don't work and still they get their salaries paid. There are people in this world who sit and enjoy. Why I alone have to slog? But that is not wrong attitude for a spiritual seeker, for a Bhagavad Gita follower. We are not concerned about what others are doing. We are concerned about our growth. So our focus, concentration should be on the work. Therefore, we should not get diverted through such thoughts. This is only the Indriya Sanyam. Control of mind is not giving way to such thoughts that would deviate you from what you are expected to do. So beautiful is Karma Yoga, very much apt for you and I, because we are human beings who are always involved in one action or the other. So that is for today. Any queries? That is Karma Yoga, first shloka 1 to 10. Open for discussion.